Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Racha Kodash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And yeah, as you can see in the title here, okay, must see civil war brewing in the UK. And I have, quite a few tabs here of similar posts that you can see of footage of what's going on currently in the UK in different parts. You have tensions that have pretty much overflown and sparking between, migrants and, different, people of different, almost like a mix of race war and all this other stuff going on in here. So, we're gonna get into it and Lord willing, be edifying because at the end of the day, this is all pertaining to prophecy. Now, what's also interesting is the fact that, let me see. What's also interesting is the fact that a lot of these situations are sparking between, so-called migrants, right, and those that are against it, and so we kept talking about the situation that was going on, not only here, right, because you had the migrant influx and all of that was also happening in some of these European countries as well. Okay, and so with all that happening, now you're starting to see why it is, which most of these posts that we're looking at, they tell you this is also something that is coming to America, okay, which is inevitable pretty much at this point. And so people need to be ready for that. And, unfortunately, it doesn't look like people are. So anyway, go ahead and just, yeah, 1 second. Let's go ahead and share screen again. So this is the first of a few parts that I have here. Some of them, I might mute it if they have like music in the background. Some of them, I might just let it play, but you can sort of get some visuals of what's actually going on over there. All right. So here it says group of migrant men kicking an alleged anti-mass immigration protester unconscious. So basically, it's like the migrants versus those that are against it. Right. So let's take a look here. This is from Middlesbrough, if I'm saying that.
He's flat out. He's flat out. He's actually flat out. He's flat out. He's flat out. He's actually flat out.
So let me just turn that down, that music in the back. But yeah, so this is just one, right? And then and this is all being seen, right? At the end of the day, they're the so-called leaders, whatever government, they're seeing this. And I also have a video of that as well. Now this year it says fed up taxpayers storm hotels, housing asylum seeking Rotherham, South Yorkshire, UK. So you had in the first one we just saw migrant men attacking an anti-immigration individual. Here you have quote unquote taxpayers who are saying we're tired of you sending our tax money to this, and now we're about to do something about it. Keep in mind, right, that since um, a couple of years or even more than that, what you've started to see is a trend, right? You see something happening here, then all of a sudden it just starts to go all around the world, in a very contagious way. So this is definitely, not a far-fetched thing to see happening in the UK, but also coming to the US, especially now, which they're already talking about it. And what's also interesting about this is recently, just this year alone, you had that movie, right? Predictive programming. You had that movie come out called what? Civil War. And so, I mean, there's divide everywhere. Okay. But we're going to see how things play out. All right. Eventually, people are going to get so fed up that you're going to start to see things like this. So there you go. Now, at the end of the day, right, whether this is set up, this is staged, this is organic, right? Sometimes, most of the time, it's a mix of both, right? You have like certain, provocateurs in there, and then you have a mix of some that are actually organic. But the point is, this is still playing into a narrative, right? This is still playing to the point of accomplishing some goal, getting society to some point where now it's justifiable to do something, to take some action against it, right? Because then they're going to say, well, we can't just sit around and let this happen, but you provoked it, right?
Oh shit, man, they're in. They're in. Oh wow. Oh, keep running! Where are you bastards? They're in! Fucking hell! They are going upstairs at last. Get him! Get him!
Now you notice this didn't happen right in the very beginning, right? This is like now that look at some of these comments. Now that some time has, passed, a lot of the migrants have come in, and it's all like, it's now established, like, okay, this many people are in here. Now you're starting to have all of a sudden, right, this spark of just tensions between them going on, as the scriptures talk about one nation, right, or one people against another, right, with swords in their hands, which represent weapons. Okay. um Look at that. Now, in the midst of all of this, just got another breaking news headline that says here, jittery Israel braces for five-front war as officials predict Iran to attack Monday. And that's a very big, you know, deal. Okay. Now, I saw another post that mentioned Iran basically, um, ignoring the US's call for restraint against attacking Israel. They said, nah, F that. We're done. We're not doing that shit. So this is all pertaining to prophecy. All right. Now we're going to watch and see how it plays out, but things are picking up, okay, in the right direction. So let's take a look here, see what else we got on here. Right now, this is, which I'm going to share in a second. This is what I was referring to, right? It says here, now, Starmer, quote unquote, you will regret taking part in this disorder. So what does that mean? Right? Violent riots continue across United Kingdom. So let's hear what he has to say here.
Those that have participated in this violence will face the full force of the law. The police will be making arrests, individuals will be held on remand, charges will follow, and convictions will follow. I guarantee you will regret taking part in this disorder, whether directly or those whipping up this action online and then running away themselves. This is not protest. It is organised, violent thuggery, and it has no place on our streets or online.
Now, if you caught that, you hear how, along with the streets, they throw in the online, right? The online, the online, the online, which goes towards that censorship agenda, right? Which is, it's not just what's on the streets, but now those that are so-called inciting it or organizing it online, now they're just as guilty. Okay. So you can already, if you have some idea of what their goals are, you can already start to see how it is that these events that keep popping up are playing right into into their hands. And we've been going into these precepts for a while, but this is just the beginning. Okay, this is just the beginning, and when things really turn up, they will turn up. All right, when you actually start to see firsthand these things, not from a screen, not from somebody recording it, in a different country or even in a different state, but you start to see this as you're driving to the store or you're on your way back from work or something like that. It'll get pretty bad. The scriptures do not call this a time like never before for no reason, right? The prophets didn't refer to this time, as such a fearful time for no reason. And keep in mind, the men back then had more of a stomach, right? For lack of a better word, than people today do, right? They could stomach more things, in terms of just like gruesome or just the realness of things and difficulties more than people now can. And even they, when they saw these things, complained and spoke out of fear. How much more for us that are living in this time? All right, let's take a look here. And here's another one. All right, Newcastle. A fight broke out between the British and Muslim immigrants in Newcastle. Newcastle is rioting. Okay, so now here we go. Yeah, you went right back in there. That's crazy.
You're bleeding, man. You're bleeding on your head, man. You're bleeding on your head.
Yeah. So you definitely missed that. So there you go. That's another example of what you got going on over there. All right. Now let's go take a look over here. 1 second. All right. Anyway, so it says here, migrant men armed with sticks are literally beating people in the streets of England while screaming Allahu Akbar, coming to an American city near you. England has fallen. Take a look. So it's just it's just, we keep telling you, a matter of time. Now, there's a difference between this kind of uh riots or chaos, and I'm not saying, I mean, we all have to watch and see, right, whether this ends up dying down like the rest of them, or this escalates far more into what we expect, and i.e. the time of Jacob's trouble. But there's still a difference here, right? Because when you take a look at something like BLM protest or the George Floyd protest and stuff like that, most of that was people coming against, what, going to protest against the government or the policing system and those kinds of things, right? So in that case, they're going against a body of government or whatever they want to call it. That is different than one people going against another, right? Because now you have migrants against anti, people that are against, immigration and migrants and yada yada. And then, you have what you're seeing here, right? Migrant men beating, people up in the streets with sticks, screaming Allahu Akbar. So it's one side of people against another side. That's different. That's like if you had a gang going against the police versus a gang going against another gang. Most of the time, when one gang goes against the police, if they try to, it doesn't really it doesn't really continue or drag on too much, right? Because when you're dealing with the police, now you're dealing with a much bigger body, right? Until at some point they shut it down. But when you got one gang going against another, how long have, like, certain famous gangs that have been around been what they call beefing for? Right, one side against another, then another later on, then this side takes revenge, then this side takes revenge, and they just keep on going back and forth. See, so this is different, right? This is different from going and coming against the policing system. Because I mean, if you think about it, right, you go and you protest. How do the authorities react? They try to find out who